So, we are in the middle of a series, and we have called Being a Disciple of Jesus. And I've deliberately put this particular subject on this morning because I want our young people, as well as our older people, to understand that we need to be disciples of Jesus. And one of the hallmarks of being a disciple of Jesus is that we learn how to serve. Okay, we're called into the kingdom to all the things that we've just been singing about: redemption, salvation, and being part of the kingdom, being children of God, all those wonderful truths. But we're also called to serve. We're called to serve each other. We're called to serve each other in the church. And we're going to come on to that a little later on. And we're called to serve our community, whether that's local or national or international. Some of you, I know, go overseas and serve. I've served on various things with Jubilee Plus nationally, but I'm going to focus this morning on how we serve locally. And if you're a guest here this morning, I want you to enjoy what we do together, but I also want you to consider your particular context and how you serve or can serve or should serve or be serving in your community. This is not about Cockermouth, this is about the kingdom of God. You should have been given a little leaflet on the way in called Impact, and we wrote this a few years ago now. It's been updated recently, but it's to remind you of why and how we do the things we do. And in there, there's the parable of the mustard seed. Go away and read it and how we've interpreted the parable of the mustard seed, because it reflects how we as a church want to serve our community. We don't just serve those people in the kingdom of God, we deliberately go out of our way to serve the people who are not part of the kingdom of God. Okay, so that's kind of where it's at. And what's going to happen this morning, I'm going to set a scene, and then I've got various friends who are going to come, some from our own church, some from other churches around town or organisations around the town. And what I want this to be is a celebration of serving. Okay? We serve, and I want to celebrate how we do that. And I also want to start by saying that I realise that different ones of us have different seasons where we serve more or less. Okay, that's quite important. It's quite important to recognise that there are times in our life when we can give ourselves less to things outside of our family lives than others. Young families, when you've got young kids, the kids are just busy, taxi of mum and dad. Everybody recognise taxi of mum and dad? You're going all over the place, left, right and centre. Your capacity for serving reduces significantly. Or perhaps you're in a very busy job. I know some of you work 70, 80 hours, 60, 70 hours, whatever, in very high pressure jobs. And your capacity for serving outside of that is limited. And we need to recognise that, and we want to celebrate that too. Or maybe illness stops you from doing the things you want to do and to serve. So as we're going through this morning, this is not about condemnation that you're not doing enough. We're celebrating what we are doing. Does that make sense? Could you just turn to the person next to you and say, I'm not going to feel condemned this morning, I'm just going to celebrate what God's doing. Just tell somebody, and then we get it out of the way, it's done. However, that doesn't mean you get let off the hook. Okay? We serve in different ways. We're going to look at later on, actually, part of serving is praying. Part of serving is praying. Part of serving is giving financially. Part of serving is supporting those who do those sort of things. And so, even though our capacity may be limited, there are things that we can do behind the scenes. So let's just look at what the Bible says about serving, and then we'll look at what we are doing as a church, as a community, as churches across the town. So first of all, we need to be learn how to be serving leaders. Okay, anybody who wants to be a leader in the church in any form whatsoever, any form of serving, must understand, first of all, that we are to be servant leaders. When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers, because the two brothers were arguing about who was going to come first and sit next to Jesus in his kingdom. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become a great amongst you must become your servant. And whoever wants to be first must become your slave." That's quite hard words. "Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus came not just to die on a cross, not to be resurrected as well, and to ascend on high. He came to serve. And that's reflected in the great story where Jesus washes his disciples' feet. Okay, now I'm wearing sandals today, and when I take Echo for a walk up into St. Murphy, I have to wear my wellies because at the moment it's quite soggy. But just imagine I splish through the mud in my sandals. No, I'm not going to say Ricardo. You're squishing through the mud, and all the mud goes through your toes, and gets up to your ankles. Imagine. I come to church, and Roger says, "What I'd really like to do this morning, I'd like to wash your feet." That's what Jesus was saying to his disciples. Getting on his hands and knees and washing their filthy, muddy, disgusting feet. We come across situations in our town through all the things we're going to talk about next, where actually what we're doing is metaphorically washing people's feet in their mess, in their confusion, in their desire to kind of splodge through the mess of their lives. We are called to wash people's feet. We're called to serve, to bring praise to the Father. Matthew 5:16, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." We serve to bring glory to the Father. Okay, it's really important. We don't serve to bring glory to ourselves. We don't serve to bring glory to King's Church. We don't serve to bring glory to the Foodbank. We serve to bring glory to the Father. As soon as we take the praise, as soon as we start receiving the plaudits, if we're not careful, we're reflecting away from the Father, reflecting to ourselves. And just to back that up in 1 Peter 4, "If anyone speaks, he should do it as one speaking the very words of God. If anyone serves, he should do it with all the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ." Where do we reflect our glory when we serve? Our maturity, as we mature as Christians, we learn more and more to reflect back to what God's doing, not to ourselves. And then in James, we have the famous passage in James 2. "What does it profit, my brother, if someone says he has faith and does not have works? Can faith save him?" Ooh, that's a bit painful, isn't it? "If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Depart in peace, be warmed and be filled,' bless you, my child, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus, also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead." We preach a gospel of grace regularly, that we don't have to do works to become Christians. We don't, in ourselves, cannot do anything. It's all by the grace of God. But we miss often that sometimes we have to mix faith with works. Otherwise, our faith isn't enough. Ooh, that's a bit painful in itself, isn't it? Think that one through. If we say to somebody, don't worry, everything is going to be all right, and we do nothing about it. James says, what does it profit you? As we learn and mature as Christians, we learn that serving and works go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, because James goes on to say that works without faith is equally just as dead. And finally, Galatians 6 verse 10, Paul says we're to use every opportunity. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. So, very quickly, before I introduce some of our friends, when I first arrived 10 years ago to find out what was going on in the area, I looked at the council census, which is a great source of information, the 2011 census for Cumbria County Council. And it identified, because of their census, it identified the 3 strategic needs that Cumbria had. Okay? First need they've identified was young families. Young families who were destitute or in poverty, they couldn't afford housing, they couldn't afford food, they were living on the edge. The number of children going into foster care and adoption was rising. Children below the poverty line was rising. There was a deep concern in 2011 that young families were really struggling in Cumbria. And that has not changed, other than it's gone further up. The second one was young people. Young people had nothing to do, nowhere to go. In Cockermouth, particularly at that time, there was no other provision for young people other than the Scouts. You think about that, there's how many children come to this school? 1,400 children in our area had nothing to do other than to go to the Scouts. Now, I got thrown out of the Scouts, so I don't know what to do. I was there 3 weeks before I got thrown out. I tried the Girls' Brigade, but that didn't work either. Listen, that's not changed. In reality, in 14 years, or 10 years since I've been here, 2011, when the census, it's not changed. Our young people struggle to find things to do. And the third thing that was in the census was old people. There was a growing concern in 2011 of increased loneliness and isolation amongst the older generation. People finding themselves living apart from society. And let me tell you, in 2024, that's not changed. That's got worse. So we have deliberately focused our attention on either addressing those needs ourselves or working with organizations that deliver on those issues. And so I'm really pleased that we are, as a church, we've got our own things that we're going to look at now, and we've invited some partner organizations that we work with closely. We give them finance, or we volunteer, we go and support, whatever it happens to be. And so they're going to tell you what they're going to do and what they do. And as they do that, we're going to celebrate the people that serve them or work with them. And then I'm going to give a bit of a general catch-up at the end. And also, I want you to consider, as we go through this, actually, do you know what? I could pray for these people. I can give to these people. I can join these people. We have been in the past very deliberate about who we partner with locally. Okay, and it comes back to that. Why do we do the things we do? Well, because that's where the need is in our community. Does that make sense? Are we all there so far? Okay, now you need to help me. I've asked them to speak for 5 minutes each, no more than 5 minutes. So, because there's so many of things we want to get through. And we're going to take a break in the middle. We are going to sing in the middle just so you can stand. But I've asked each of them 5 minutes. So if you could all just kind of... Okay, Sorry? Oh, you got your timer on, correct. And so we're going to work our way through. Please, every time we introduce somebody, please welcome them. We love what they do. We love what they're up to. And so we're going to start with Safe Families. And Ezzy's going to come and talk about them.
Hello. So a lot of people know me already, but if you don't know me, my name's Essie Norris, and my job, I've actually brought proof. Look at that. I am actually working there. I am a family support manager working with Safe Families, and I have my beautiful assistant, Lynn, with me, Lynn Graham, who is the community volunteer manager, and we work very closely together, don't we, Lynn, to support all our families. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Safe Families. Psalm 68 verse 6 says, God places the lonely in families. He sets the prisoners free and he gives them joy. We have the privilege of working for Safe Families because we are an openly Christian organisation working in a very secular context. So we're working multi-agency with other professionals who all know that we are a Christian organisation and that our resource is the church, which is absolutely wonderful that we can do that. So Safe Families is a national organisation and a global organisation these days. And we exist to create relationship and connection, working on the principle that everybody deserves to belong. We are linking children, young people and families with local volunteers that come from our churches, and Safe Families offers support, hope and belonging to people who would otherwise be facing life alone. So as part of the National Care Review in 2021, Safe Families, alongside another Christian organisation called Home for Good, wrote a highly influential report called More Than Sundays. And what they said was, we recognise that the review in England is a significant opportunity to reconsider the way that we support children and families across the nation. The review has been clear that it recognises that communities and churches have a greater role to play in enabling children and families to thrive. And our report today sets out why we think the church is well placed to step into this space. The church has been at the forefront of caring for children, young people and families who are struggling, and we want to build on the good work already happening to enable every child and family to thrive. So Safe Families recognises and is passionate about the fact that the church is God's divinely appointed vehicle for well-being, for belonging, and for community transformation. And that is wholeheartedly what we believe and why we ask for volunteers from the church. Safe Families aims to empower the church in their mandate to reach out to the community, particularly to the poor. So thinking of a vision of Isaiah 61, good news to the poor, that they may not ordinarily be seen or found by the church, because often we're asking people to come to us, and Safe Families is saying we are going to find those people and we are going to match the church with those people. So it's a little bit of an other way round of doing things. People are found through social workers, through teachers, through health visitors, other care agencies, and are referred to Safe Families. So we have a contract with the local authority, which is amazing, who find these people for us and refer them. And what we do is we do all the background work for you. We assess the risk, we do safeguarding, we do training with you, and we provide clear boundaries so that the church can safely and boldly be that divinely appointed vehicle, because it's hard to do these days with so many rules, regulations, safeguarding things. So we do all that work for you. We walk alongside you through the process so that you can do that really safely and boldly and freely. Safe Families does this by training up ordinary people to be befrienders, which we call family friends, or to be a host home for a child, which is where somebody needs to stay overnight. So I'm just going to go through a couple of stories to inspire you. So my first one is about Anne, who's not here, I don't think. So she has been supporting a lady called Jean. Obviously, I've changed names, so you don't know who these people are. So we're going to call her Jean, who is a maternal grandmother to a granddaughter. She's got special guardianship of her. This is after her own daughter passed away some years ago. She needed respite care for her granddaughter while she went into hospital for an operation to remove a cancerous tumour from her kidney. She was new to the area, had no family, no friends to support her, and we were able to offer her hosting support through the church to host her granddaughter, Imogen, which is amazing. So if that hadn't have happened, she would have had to go into foster care. Comments from the social worker about a second hosting that we did when she needed a hip operation. The social worker said, Jean, 59, and Imogen, 12, have no family support locally. Safe Families previously supported the family, offering a host family for Imogen. Without this offer, again, it is unclear where Imogen would have gone whilst Jean underwent her operation, as there was a risk of foster care if no one was able to care for Imogen. So Safe Families offered valuable support in this area and were able to support the family again so that Imogen could go somewhere familiar and consider those people her extended family, which is an amazing thing. Anne was a befriender for this lady also, and this lady had mobility issues, and Anne took her out on the trampers at Winlatter. She had never had such an amazing time. She did not know these things existed, and she was absolutely blown away and absolutely loved being supported by Anne. After the support, Jean said that she no longer felt isolated, she felt more confident about going out, and she's made a wonderful positive connection with 2 different churches, which is King's Church and a church in Carlisle, through hosting support as well. My second person I'm going to talk about is Patrick. He's not here either, but Patrick is currently supporting a 13-year-old lad who is absolutely isolated. He's being homeschooled in a situation where there's a lot of anxiety in his family. And this little lad has said, since being supported by Patrick, 3 months on, he doesn't feel as angry as he did before, which is absolutely awesome. Patrick is taking him on school trips because he's being homeschooled. So he's been to see Hadrian's Wall, he's been to see loads of things, and Patrick's having a great time as well. So this lad's got no male role model in his life. He's only witnessed abusive men before. So this is amazing as well. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about Cheryl. Cheryl has been meeting with a mum who has been at crisis point following the death of her teenage daughter's father. After 3 months of support, mum said that she would now rate her confidence as a 7 out of 10. It was a 2. She feels that she is much more confident, and when she's helping her daughter, she feels that now she is doing the right thing, because Cheryl encourages her that she's doing the right thing. And she's been hugely impacted by that support. And what Cheryl is doing, she's just meeting her for a coffee. That's what you're doing really, isn't it, Cheryl? Yeah. She says the support has been amazing, and she's wanted it to continue to help her build her confidence and receive further encouragement. She says that she has something to look forward to, because she really didn't have anything to look forward to in her life at that point. She has something to look forward to, and she had forgotten that she could talk about other things other than what she was going through. And what she'd said is she likes to lose time talking, because she wasn't doing that before, mutual talk. So she was just thinking about herself. She only talked to her teenage daughter, really, and the family situation as well. And she's also enjoyed getting out of the house. Another support situation, we're going to call this volunteer Jenny. And this mum has been highly impacted by this support also. The context is that her teenage son has got mental health issues going on, and this mother is isolated also. She says, I can text the volunteer with no judgment whatsoever. I would score my well-being now after 3 months of support as an 8. Again, this is another situation where this lady's just being met for coffee. She feels now she is not dealing with things on her own in isolation. She's got somebody to talk to. And the biggest thing she enjoys with this volunteer, Jenny, is that they have a laugh. And, a lot of people just don't have a laugh, and they just enjoy that freedom. Another support that happened as well is a lovely lady called Sammy. Sammy had some mental health issues as a result of trauma, and she met with a volunteer. She also had an autistic son. She felt very alone. She said the conversation that she has with her volunteer is riveting, which I thought was amazing. She said that her children are grounded and they get on really well. Sammy said, this is an amazing statement, she said that she has got more out of 3 months of support. This is another mum who is meeting with a volunteer for coffee. She said, I've got more out of 3 months of being supported by the volunteer than I have out of 10 years of being involved with the mental health crisis team and mental health services. And that is phenomenal to say that, and that's no disrespect to mental health services, but what it does say is that belonging and friendship is huge. And the reduction of isolation in people's lives is huge and makes such an impact for them to have friendships and belong. I'm just going to mention a little bit about Debbie, who's sitting here as well. Debbie did a wonderful support with a transgender teenager who had poor mental health, and Debbie really became a member of the family. And this was a very difficult family, I would say, and they didn't really take kindly to other people, did they, Debbie? No. So Debbie did an amazing job in that support, and she really enjoyed being part of that family, and they said that Debbie was the best thing to come out of social services. So thank you very much, Debbie. So the situation is that our values are love, belonging, faith, empowerment, and humility. And this is a breath of fresh air for a lot of professionals who do not work like that and have an agenda. So we have supported at King's over 20 families and over 40 children since 2018. So we just want to say a really big thank you to all of our volunteers. And if you feel that you would like to meet someone for coffee, if you feel that you'd like to walk alongside a child, play games, take them out, whatever that is, and you feel prompted today, or that you have some time to give, then please know that it hugely impacts families just to be with them. So thank you very much.
Okay. Let's move on. We also support our young people. In 2018, 2017, we were told, or we were asked by the county council that they wanted to support young people in Cockermouth, and as a result, they have funded and helped us fund through Cumbria Youth Alliance Amplify, and so Lorna, because Joel's on holiday, Lorna is going to come and share for 5 minutes on Amplify.
Hi. Okay, so as Paul's just said, Amplify is a youth drop-in. It's run by us as a church in the hub each Friday evening during term time only, so it's from 3:30 until 8 p.m, and it's for secondary school aged young people. Joelle organises it these days. It was Zoe for a number of years before she went off to her new career. And at the moment she's got 10 volunteers from King's Church who serve roughly every 4 to 6 weeks. And we do either an afternoon or an evening session. So the afternoon would be from 3:30 till 6, and the evening would be 6 till 8. I'm one of the ones that tends to do an afternoon session, so it works quite nicely. Joelle's very keen to say that Amplify could not run without these volunteers, and it's great to see us all building relationships with the young people who come each week. And I'm actually wearing a bracelet that I got given once. There was one week some of the girls were making bracelets, and at the end of it they were saying, "Here, you have this one." And for a little while they were calling me Nana Lorna, so I'll take that as a good thing. So every week the staff, volunteers, we're there to chat, to play games. There's crafts, as I say. We try and encourage and give support as best we can. We've seen there's 3 of the young people who came regularly to Amplify. They now come as young adults. They volunteer themselves because they wanted to keep connected. They wanted to give back to what they'd received. One of the key things that we do is there's a hot meal. It's a simple meal. It'll be like pizza or hot dogs, something that's quite easy to cook for a number of young people. But that'll be at 5 o'clock every week, and it's just there, as much as they want. There's also any number of free activities. So we've got crafts, we've got games, there's an air hockey / pool table, depending which way up you've got it. We've got table football, there's Wi-Fi, there's games consoles. I think there's 3 these days, where they play games like the FIFA matches, or it could be just dance or Minecraft. And seeing the creativity and the enthusiasm there is fantastic. So the young people have also discovered that when they come to Amplify, there's board games, and they love having a go at them, and especially if they can beat the leaders. So as Paul said, Amplify was set up about 6 years ago. The county council asked us if we could provide some Friday night youth work. So we agreed to open a youth drop-in where kids could simply hang out together. it makes a positive difference in building confidence, strengthening communication skills, making a positive community. And because it's a drop-in, there's no rules. They can basically come in and go as they please. Well, no rules beyond behave themselves. But there's nothing, we're not acting as parents, we're just providing somewhere that they can be and be comfortable. So some of them will come for the whole session, some of them just for a short while, maybe just a couple of hours or a few minutes. At the moment, there's about 40 young people on the books, and about 18 attend weekly. In recent weeks, there's been about 8 new young people who've come along with their friends, so the word's getting out that this is a good thing to do. I think there's at least a couple of cases where kids have been signposted to us as somewhere that was a safe place to come, that they could feel comfortable and welcome. The majority of the young people who come don't have a connection to the church, and we don't offer specific Christian teaching, but we do invite them along to the youth weekends and the days out that are planned, and New Day and so on. So there's connections into other forums where they'll find out more. So basically it's a great stepping stone, we would say, for getting into other ways of seeing what church can be like. So I think basically, I mean, if I talk about my own connection, I've been helping out for 2 or 3 years, and I bring my dog along with me, Hamish, who I think quite a few of the church know, and he'll go around and I think some of them quite actually enjoy petting him and getting the cuddles, and you'll wag his tail, and I have to tie him up so he won't steal the pizza, but okay. There was one young girl who came in. I've not seen her more than once myself. I don't know how often she's been, and she was sitting there and she was quite shy. So I just sat with her for a little while, and eventually Hamish was agreeing to being thrown food and stuff, so she was having a few cuddles, and that was lovely. But then you're getting somewhere when they reach into their school book or school bag and they bring out the book of artwork that they've not, they've held back because it's theirs, it's their own personal thing. And you think, well, they must feel comfortable that they're happy to show me their own little doodles and drawings, and actually better than doodles. We've got some very talented young people. So yeah, just to echo, I would say it's lovely to see how the young people get on together, that they relax, that they feel comfortable with us. It doesn't matter what age you are if you want to volunteer. We've got everything from people who've just grown out of that age group themselves to grandparents, and it's just about being there, making them feel welcome.
Thanks, Lorna. We're still in the area of serving children in our town and surrounding areas. So Maggie is going to come and talk about NISCU.
Thank you very much. Well, hi everyone. I'm really glad to be able to share with you just a little about the NISCU Puppet Ministry here in West Cumbria. Currently, we have 2 NISCU puppet teams here, one of which I lead. The other team is based in Workington, Whitehaven area. For almost 25 years now, it doesn't feel like that, but that's what it is. I've been working for NISCU as a volunteer. And on top of that, we have 5 other long-serving volunteer members in my team. And they include Steve, John, Alison, Jenny, Edward, and myself. I don't know if you want them to stand up now or later. Later, that's great. As it happens, we're all members of this church, and it would be true to say that we each feel really blessed and privileged to be involved in this ministry. Joy is the word that comes to me, really, and I think we all feel like that. In addition, we have Leslie and Tom, who go to the Christian Centre in Cockermouth, and they join our team each week as well, and so it's great to have them with us too. There are a few others who serve behind the scenes when needed, particularly Malcolm with his technical gifting. He often comes to our rescue and helps us put our scripts together online. He's invaluable with his help there. And Pauline and Gordon, they've helped with scripts when we've done recordings with their voices. Invaluable help again. Throughout the year, we go into schools with these live assemblies to help children hear the truths and the stories of the Bible. The puppets are an incredible, powerful tool to connect with children. and they enable us, they give us the freedom to share the gospel in a fun, exciting, and engaging way. Whether in a primary school assembly or a community event like the Cockermouth Lights Switch On, they hold the children's attention. And some young children, they even think the puppets are real. I do remember once, after 5 large singing sheep puppets performed one of our Christmas songs, I overheard a little girl say, "I didn't know that sheep could sing." That's beautiful, isn't it? Currently, I have 30 schools on my list, some of them primary schools, others are infant schools. With each new assembly, different schools are contacted with an offer of a live puppet assembly. And in addition, since COVID, we're now producing video versions of many of our assemblies for schools to use. And links to these are sent out to those schools not receiving a live assembly that term. In the last 12 months, I've calculated that approximately, this is approximately, 2,318 school children will have experienced one of our live assemblies, not to mention members of staff and some head teachers as well. And added to that figure will be the many others watching on video. And so, prayer, that's the key thing really, isn't it? So I ask you, would you pray for us, would you remember us in your prayers, that this work will continue, that God will continue to keep doors open, and that the one or two that are not open will open, that God will do that. That would be amazing. Would you pray for our new puppet assembly, which is starting very soon? The theme is on kindness, and it will be taken into schools on Wednesday mornings from the 12th of June. We'd value your prayers for that. This assembly will feature the story of Zacchaeus and how his life was completely changed after meeting Jesus.
Okay, so the last person in this section is going to be Jane, who has changed from a NISCU worker into working for Linking Lives. So let's welcome Jane.
Hello. Never used one of these before, so I hope. Got to put it close to my mouth. Hope you can all hear me. Right, Linking Lives is nearly into our 5th year. I think in October we celebrate our 5th launch, and I've been very privileged to be part of it. I absolutely love working with them. We've got a super team of 4 of us. So we started, at the moment, we have a small number of King's Church members. Gordon is with us today, but we also have Norma, who has been a stalwart from the beginning, and we have Edward and Jane, who are very involved with the team. And we're very grateful to them. Currently, we have about 77 Link friends receiving a weekly visit or a phone call, and that visit could be going up for coffee if the person wants it, or just a phone call. We had a few more referrals this week. So we were clear, and we'd linked everybody up, and then suddenly we had another 4 or 5 referrals. So we're always busy. We reach out to our various places, mainly in Cockermouth, but we do go out as far as Lawton, Dereham, Tallentire, Bridgefoot, Blind, Crake, and all around. I believe there has been a new Linking Lives organisation started in Keswick, and I think there's one in the process in Penrith as well. So it is a national organisation, not always called Linking Lives. Sometimes it's just befriending service, helping hands, all sorts of things like that. So we do try to keep within our area, because obviously most of our volunteers are in the area. Once a week, we hold a together at 2. We call it on a Monday afternoon. And there they can go for a chat, cup of tea, biscuit. They play rummy cub, Scrabble, all sorts of board games. And if they just want to sit and chat, that's absolutely fine. And I think that's growing very fast, and we probably need a few more chairs and tables very soon. Another really exciting thing, which is hard work, but it's great fun and very well supported. We have a crafty lunch club every 3rd Thursday in the month, where we serve soup and a pudding. And I have to say that we had very positive reports about our soup. Apparently it's the best in town. So we have, and then a pudding, and that varies from whatever anybody we decide to do. I think last week we did apple crumble. So it's quite hard work we have to make the things, but it's good fun. And then after the lunch we have a little talk and a prayer and a Christian message. And then if they want to, they can take part in a craft. And we've done things like angels, we've done Christmas wreaths, painting on stones, bird feeders, all sorts of lanterns. Yeah, so that's good. It's quite good fun. Not everybody joins in with that, but that's fine because they'll sit and chat. And I'm going to just go on to a short video of some of our activities.
Connections. Connections with others. Those interactions that most of us have on a daily basis are so important to our lives. It's what makes us feel valued, like we belong, that we're loved. But what about those people who have no meaningful connections with others? Maybe they live alone, or are surrounded by others but feel overlooked somehow. Who connects with them and helps convey the feeling that they're loved and valued? We believe that we all have a crucial part to play in the lives of these people. Through giving just a little of ourselves, we can all make a huge difference to someone who may be feeling like they are invisible to those around them. For resources that help build these connections, visit www.thinkinglives.uk.
So we are always looking for more volunteers. If you have a spare hour a week, it's all it takes. We would love to have you. Currently we are looking at, it's still in the planning stage, a bereavement service, because a lot of our clients, our friends, are bereaved, and so we want to give them the opportunity to share with others. And we would value your prayers for continued support, and we do thank Kings for their financial support as well. Okay, thank you very much for hearing us.
We just want to talk next about serving our elderly community with Bridge Cafe.
Good morning. Gail unfortunately had to go down to her mother in Portsmouth because the mother's carer has become unwell. So Gail, I'm filling in for Gail. So she's given me her notes, which I'm going to read from her notes. Okay, Bridge Cafe. The cafe was set up to support the town post-flood in 2015. Since then, it has moved from a crisis intervention to more emphasis on pastoral care and support for an elderly population. There is an ownership of the cafe by the community, and most new people come through from somebody inviting them and bringing them along. One of the joys is that initially the guests were very reliant on us, being the team, very reliant on us getting the conversations going, getting the things flowing. Now they just come in and they just know each other, to the point that they actually, when the cafe is not open, we open Tuesdays and Fridays, on a Monday and a Wednesday, they go down to the lake centre and have their own coffee morning. Because they become friends, they give each other lifts. It's become a little community. As I say, the cafe meets on Tuesdays for homemade cakes and coffee, and Fridays for bacon butties. Well, actually, I was cooking last Friday. It's a bacon, sausage and egg butties. It's become a triple. I don't know quite where that came from. Gail visits on Thursdays those who don't or can't get to the cafe or who can't attend for any reason. Okay, some numbers. The average number on a Tuesday is 13 people. Average number on a Friday, because of the bacon, egg and sausage, is 25 people. The number of people that we have contact with, that Gail visits, is 44 people. 3 of the cafe folk came to the Christmas service. 3 came to the quiz night, 9 came to the Christmas service, and over the last year, the number of bacon butties served is approximately 1,225. And the number of hot drinks served is 3,725. That being said, it's not about the numbers, it's about individual lives being touched. 2 little stories from the last few weeks. A gentleman who normally comes on a Friday came in on a Tuesday. He was very warmly welcomed and was told how nice it was to see him on a Tuesday. He replied that he had come because it was his birthday and didn't want to be on his own. Makes me emotional, this old boy. So Gail rushed around, found a cupcake, found a candle, borrowed a lighter from one of the old folk that smokes, lit the candle, and they all sang happy birthday, and the old boys sat there beaming from ear to ear. That's what the Bridge Cafe does. Another last story, Gail is studying, as you know, she's studying a course, and when asked how it was going in the Bridge Cafe, she explained her latest assignment. Every month she's got to do this essay assignment. And they all, including Gail, had a good laugh at the title of her assignment, but as a result of explaining very simply the gospel was shared with those gathered around the table. It was just a natural opportunity to say the gospel. Thank you for all of you who, I know there's many of you here that have helped, do help, and probably may in the future help with the Bridge Cafe, or just come along on a Friday and have a bacon, egg and sausage butty. And we would enjoy seeing you.
Thanks, Chris. Chris brings the average age of the Bridge Cafe down by half a year, so that's that. Let's talk about the English Cafe. Okay, the war in Ukraine had an immediate need that we as a church felt we wanted to fulfill, and as a result we had the English Cafe.
I was advised by Joe to start with a joke, and that's it. The English Cafe has now been running for just over a year and a half, and during that time we've had 96 different people attend from 6 different countries, predominantly from Ukraine, but other countries represented are Poland, Spain, Hungary, Afghanistan, and this week we had a Kurdish lady who's only been in the country for 3 weeks. There are still families coming across from the Ukraine, and I know of 2 who are coming within the next couple of months. We average about 16 people a week, and as many of the ladies are excellent cooks, we get very delicious cakes. We have 4 main helpers, Bob and Jean, and a lady called Angela, and of course Ricardo. Jean also makes very excellent cakes, and she's very good at offering to pray for people and actually praying for people. Bob is the best coffee maker now that we've taught him how to make coffee and not reuse coffee granules. And Angela, who is a
a lady just who lives in Cockermouth who's come along. She used to be an English teacher working in France, and she's actually excellent at communicating and helping people with their English. And of course, Ricardo just talks. Some hosts also come to the cafe, and we formed good relationships and friendships with them, and they see it as a place of mutual support. And also people from the council resettlement team come, and we also have a very good relationship with them. They tap into us if they want people to be helped, and also vice versa. If I need to get information that for people who have just arrived. One of the council ladies says that ours is the best English cafe in the area and recommends us to everyone. So consequently, we have even people who come from Millham. As quite a few of the ladies and gentlemen have improved their English, they're now working. So we're trying to do extracurricular activities, which including walks. We've had the pop-up cafes, which have been brilliant, barbecues, and through this, we've had contact and friendships with 25 other families. At one barbecue, we had over 55 people come. Thankfully, not everybody turned up. On New Year's Eve, we hosted a party at ours and had about 35 Ukrainians attend. And we were taught some Ukrainian dances. We watched their president give his speech. And one of the things that I really enjoy when the families get together is just watching the children interact, because they can talk to each other in their own languages, and they just have such fun. It's great. We work, Linking Lives have been really helpful, and often offer furniture, washing machines, etc. when they're helping to clear houses. And it's been a real blessing to many of the Ukrainian families who obviously have to set up home and have absolutely nothing to start with. At present, we're in a need of a vacuum cleaner. If anyone has a spare one, that would be great. I really would like to thank everyone who's helped Vera, who's just moving into her own property. And she's really been blessed by the love and the support that's been shown from our church, as people have offered her furniture, toasters, microwaves, etc. It's just been a fantastic witness. Looking ahead, on the 22nd of June, we're having a family trip to Edinburgh Zoo, and we're going to look to do a few more. We're looking to do walks once a month, and we're looking also to have some more barbecues this summer, if it doesn't rain. Quite a few of the Ukrainians now attend Sunday lunches, which have been running since the first floods. And the first lunches were in the First Bridge Cafe. So for over that time, I calculate that we've served in excess of 5,000 roast dinners. And that's it.
Great. I used to have a very sylph-like figure until I started going to the English cafe with their fantastic cakes. Just a reminder that in the summer, some of these things, we tried to join the dots together, but in the summer, we have invited 5 young people from Ukraine to come to New Day with us, with our young people. And they're going to join us for a week's holiday with 2 adults. They're not coming by themselves, they've come with 2 adults. 2 women, because the men can't leave the country at the moment. But they're going to come over, they're going to have a week's holiday in the lakes, and then go to New Day with our young people. And we were looking for 2 things. We're going to look for some hosts. 3 things. Some hosts, some people to drive them around the Lake District, and your money. Okay? We're going to have a gift day, because we want to. It's going to cost about £7,500. We have a grant for some of it, but we're looking to top up the rest of it. Because we want these kids, they've been coming from war zones, we want them to have a great time. Just like, remember Chernobyl's children used to come years ago? It's just like that. Well, I'm delighted to have also our friend from the Foodbank, Andrew Robinson. He's well known around the town, mainly because he's a vet and he's handsome. And he paid me to say that, honestly. So, Andrew.
Nonny, I'm sorry to hear that you're looking for a vacuum cleaner, because I've just given mine away. Well, it was just gathering dust. Do you know how long I've waited for that? Anyway, thank you. Oh, that was to remind me I've only got 5 minutes. So 15 years of the Foodbank in West Cumbria is shocking on one level, but on another level, Matthew 25 says, "For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." In the last year, we have helped 3,000 couples, singles, families with food and support from the agencies. That's over 6,000 individual people have not only been fed physically, but spiritually. Because one of the only food banks in the country, we have our own prayer diary, because everything we do is underpinned by prayer. And if there's nothing else you can do today, pray for the work, pray for what we do, pray for the volunteers, because some are saved and others aren't. Pray for the clients, because many of those aren't saved. And our mission is to see people saved for Christ. So we want to feed them spiritually and physically. 739 households have sadly used the food bank for the first time in the last 12 months. And that has required over 77 tons of food. Now that, in comparison, goes back to when I started up 15 years ago down at the Reef Cafe, and we collected 500 kilograms, and we thought that was amazing. And then it flooded, and we lost everything, and we thought, God has a way of telling us, you don't need to do this. But from that, the journey really began. People started coming on board. We got places to go. 6 centres later, a warehouse later, 170 volunteers, 4 staff, 12 prayer meetings, a chaplain, a warehouse. We are where we are today. We are here because he wants us to be here. We're here doing his work. We're here helping those in crisis in the former Allerdale and North Copeland areas. We are here sending a schools worker into every primary school in West Cumbria with the mission simply to tell all the children about Jesus. I was told there is a principle called anchoring, which if you tell the children about Jesus and about the fantastic stories in the Bible, as they get older and the world seeks to dissuade them, it's a harder job. So I said to him, just go and tell every child about Jesus. That's your job. We give them Easter eggs. We give them chocolate at Christmas. We give them toys. We give them hope. Hope because we love them. Because it says in Luke 10:27, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And that is a very hard commandment, to love someone as you love yourself. Think about that, pray about that, reflect on that, because however much you love yourself, and it's not just the easy ones, it's not just those people who are lovely, who talk to you, who kind of smile at you, it's the people that you wouldn't normally want to associate with. That's the people that Jesus puts us in touch with. That's the people Jesus wants us to share his love, his agape love, his love that took him to the cross for each and every one of us. We're to share that love with the unloved of West Cumbria. I was going to talk about other things, but that's the important message today, is we've started a financial inclusion. Over 400 clients have been seen, over £200,000 worth of financial gain has been made, and nearly £670,000 worth of client debt has been managed in the last 12 months. So God is a good God. Amen. He's a great God. He's a living God. He works through people like you, completing his mission so that every person can experience his love And if we can just see one person, like recently 4 people from one of the centres were baptised. That is what the food bank stands for. Every can counts, but every life matters. Thank you.
Okay, alongside Food Bank, King's runs Meal Share. We don't see ourselves in competition with Food Bank. We supplement what they're doing. And we serve around about 25 different families. That would be about 75 people in Cockermouth. I think we have one family that comes from Maryport. But 25 families, they get free food, just like at the Food Bank, much of it fresh. But they also, we try to spend time with them listening to their stories. People who are really struggling in life. And if I could tell you the stories, we don't have time now, but some of it is just, they're just really down and out, a lot of people. They're just really struggling. And so Meal Share takes place on a Thursday. As I said, around about 25 families. We shift an awful lot of fresh stuff, fresh bread, vegetables, meat, and your contribution helps that. We've talked about external things, but I want to remind you that you serve on a regular basis in our church as well. Maybe you serve on a setup team, or a refreshments team, or on the worship team, or the welcome teams, Sunday lunches, small group leaders, children and youth workers, projector teams, when we do events, and you come and help us with events, and you do things, or you care, you make meals for people who just had babies or have just been bereaved or whatever it happens to be, or you give your time. I want to say thank you on behalf of the core team and the elders. You've done amazing work, and if you do that on a regular Sunday morning, why don't you just stand again? We'd like to say thank you. We estimate that out of King's Church on a regular weekly basis, we talk to and help around about 180 people. But you do a far bigger job where you are. Okay, a far bigger job. Because you help in things like summer camps, you help with Cockermouth Emergency Response Group, you might be a school governor, or you lead the PTA, or you're on the PTA. You might be on a club committee. I know at least one person who is on the athletics running thing, which I don't understand, but they're on that particular committee. But there are other club committees, photography, all sorts of things that happen around the town that you're involved with. Perhaps you're involved in sports management and support in the town, helping our kids, football teams, coaching, just being around. Perhaps you volunteer in children's nurseries or other things to do with children. Perhaps you're in a choir, or you're part of an arts project. Perhaps you're into the eco projects in town, as I know some of you are. Perhaps you're in the Rotary, and we have, is it this year that you're the Rotary Club manager, leader? Next year. So next year we have the Rotary Club leader, manager, committee, whatever, I don't know what we call them, president in our midst. Perhaps you serve on the WI or similar other things. You are out in our community. It's part of serving. And we as a church want to encourage you and support you in all you do. So if you serve in any way down that right-hand side, why don't you stand right now? And we want to say thank you for all you do. Please do so right now. We want to encourage you to serve wherever you can. Perhaps you're young, perhaps you're old, perhaps you're in the middle somewhere, and you want to go and find something to do. Go and talk to somebody. At the back, there's lots of, there's 3 different things out there, 4 different things. Go and have a look, see how you can volunteer. Come and find out the people in the church who lead things, and come and find out how you can help. Perhaps you can't do that because of your time and other things, but you can give prayerfully. We need your prayer. We need finances. We need gifts of giving. You'd be surprised how far tins of food, rice, and all those sort of things, how far they can go. Perhaps you can just give encouragement and support and a well done, good and faithful servant. Well done. That was really excellent. So, in closing, if you're a guest here again, sorry, it's been a bit of an unusual morning. It's not a preach as such, but I want you to also to think about your context. Can you serve where you are? Can you be extending the kingdom of God? The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. It's planted and it grows, and the birds of the air come and sit in the trees, and they find safety and security.